LOL take two. LOL take two. LOL take two. Now listen. No matter how fantastic our lives are or have been, let's face it, we've all had times where we looked at other people's lives or where they live and thought, boy, my life really sucks. I need to get the hell out of here. When I was a kid growing up back in Iowa, my cousins would come and visit us for holidays. Now, don't get me wrong, my folks provided a very good life for us in a suburb called Urbandale, or in some circles, Urbandale. But my cousins were the good-looking, popular, rich family who lived in the glamorous western suburbs of Minneapolis. They had a 2-story house on a half-acre wooded lot. We had a split foyer that had been built in a former cornfield with 2 Charlie Brown Christmas trees out front. Their neighborhood was so fancy, they didn't even have sidewalks. Our sidewalks were so new they had our names and handprints scratched in them. And their streets weren't in grids like ours because they had beautiful lakes everywhere. My friend Tony and I found this pond next to McDivitt Cemetery, which turned out to be sewage runoff, and we called it Fantasy Forest. I especially remember during the horrible junior high years, when my life really was awful, my cousins would come down to visit, and we'd have so much fun, but as they pulled out of our driveway, going back to their lives and leaving me in Urbandale, I'd be waving at them, one solitary tear running down my cheek while silently mouthing, "Help me." Of course, social media is completely built on a curated version of our lives that we present to the world. And all that information is mined and sold to the highest bidder, of course. And sure, most of us only show a perfectly healthy, managed, happy life on our social media. We only have fabulous dinner parties and fascinating friends and always pick the perfect shows or concerts to attend. Our pets are the cutest ever. Well, mine really are. Rarely do we post when we feel bad, are out of sorts, or have gastrointestinal disorders. Why would we want to share that? Well, actually, I save that juicy stuff for my podcast episodes, if I can get a laugh out of it. I do have this small sliver of friends who only seem to post when they feel bad or their lives are allegedly falling apart. All us friends on their friends list get to share in their misery. That seems to generate a lot of responses, though mostly in the form of caring emojis, which, to be honest, in this case really means, boy, I sure am glad I'm not you. And when we're stuck in that rut and life only looks better on the greener side, what is it that motivates us to make a real change? God knows, I've had my own on the greener side moments in my life, trust me. When I was graduating high school, college was the perfect opportunity to escape dreary and conservative Iowa, so every other place in the world was on the greener side. 5 years of basically growing up and becoming me in Minneapolis led to the next greener side, where I decided to make the big-time showbiz move to Los Angeles, Hollywood. I packed up all my belongings in a 1974 Plymouth Valiant with no radio or AC and drove across the country in August with my 15-year-old brother in tow as my co-pilot. We were like yuppie Thelma and Louise listening to Bananarama on my Montgomery Ward's boombox. Obviously, LA has worked out for me. I met my husband Bill of 37 years and had some success in show business. I have to admit, we did have an on the greener side experience almost 20 years ago. I can't really attribute it to anything in particular, a midlife crisis perhaps, but we both got a bug up our asses that we had to get out of Los Angeles. Palm Springs, a mere 2 hours away, became our greener side. We looked at all our options for income, looked at houses, and visited in July when it's 800 degrees portal of hell temperatures, and you can fry an egg on the sidewalk at 7 a.m. Again, I don't recall all the details. I just remember we both came to our senses and said, okay, maybe we're overreacting and maybe we should just stay put for right now. And here we are, almost 20 years later, in much better shape financially than we would have been, so it all worked out. Besides, back then my snarky friend Michael said, "You're early 40s. You're too young to move to Palm Springs because you know it's basically gay hospice." An amusing analogy when you're 40, not so cute when you're 60. I know so many people who moved or are moving right now, this very minute. I don't know whether it's a post-COVID thing, but many friends and family are on the move. Some across town, some across their state, some across the country. Some moved during COVID, which was like booking a U-Haul in the middle of the apocalypse. Some have downsized or moved because their priorities have changed, which I totally understand. Others seem to have gone from, I love LA, and done a 180-degree turn to, I have to get out of here. Everything is lousy here. I need to get to the greener side. In those cases where obviously a small stroke was not involved, I question their motives, having been there, done that myself. Eventually, their whining and complaining drives you to say, oh my God, shut up and move already. Can I help you pack? We had a friend who escaped LA with no clear plan decades ago. She just had to get out and left a 6-figure job and had a $10,000 credit card balance. Years later, apparently she still has the same $10,000 credit card balance, is still kind of a mess and still looking for her greener side. I guess wherever we go, we take ourselves with us. So be careful. I've come to realize that there is no place on earth that is the perfect place. You just have to decide what makes you happy. Big city, ocean, mountains, small town, open space, whatever. And then go for it, without alienating all your friends in the process. Right now, we're staying put. I like being a half hour from the ocean, or 2 hours from San Diego, Big Bear, gay hospice, and enjoying all the culture that is here at my fingertips. It's also nice getting the occasional acting gig. Now, will I always feel this way? I don't know. Of course, it's a possibility that the real reason I haven't moved in 37 years is because, well, I'm just being lazy. It's a lot of work. We were watching Fiddler on the Roof on TV, and at the end, the entire village is given 1 day's notice to leave Anatevka. Can you imagine? You never realize how much crap you have accumulated until you have a moving company giving you a bid of $25,000 just to move 90 minutes to Rancho Cucamonga. I've been using the Insight Timer meditation app since well before COVID. Bill said it isn't working, but I asked him if he wanted me to stop meditating so he could see what the difference is. And he said, no. So I told him to shut up. I've been using the app every day for going on 5 years. Well, wait, okay, not entirely true. On July 14th, 2022, I woke up to an emergency at work that I had to attend to. My normal thing, morning coffee and a 10-minute meditation, was completely interrupted by this meaningless work thing that I can't even remember. The day slipped by me. The next day, I meditated, and the app told me, "Congratulations, Tony, you have completed 1 day of meditation." Wait, what? Only 1 day? What? Oh my God, I almost fell out of my chair, and it was a recliner. I had never gone back to the app the day before. It had just slipped by. I was madder than hell at myself for breaking my 1,256-day, 3.44 years streak of meditating daily. Of course, this meant nothing in the great scheme of things, as this was just some self-imposed goal, a real first-world problem. So I picked it back up, and I'm going on 5 years, except for that 1 day. I have a ton of different meditation tracks that I listen to, depending upon, how I feel, but one of them, the teacher says that when we obsess about the past, and who doesn't, this can look like depression. Or conversely, when we worry about the future, and who doesn't, this can look like anxiety. She brings home the point that when we focus or relive things in our past or imagine things that haven't happened in the future, our brains are completely occupied with stories that have no basis in our current moment. And she walks you through letting some of those stories go. I'm sure the makers of Prozac and Zoloft are not happy with this woman's meditation practice. Amazingly, I don't know how she does it, but just for a moment, when you are able to, even for 10 seconds, stop or slow down those old or future stories in your head, we are left with right now. Nothing more, nothing less. There is no greener side, because we're in it. LOL take two. LOL take two. LOL take two. Ba 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 bum.